Hello again, Crab.
Hello, Murphy.
I'd like to head back to Crossbone Cove, please.
Casting off.
At the far end of Crossbone Cove, all I came across was a wall of rocks and boulders. It seemed the cave I was after had gone missing. I couldn't see. With use of the ferry for the rest of the night, the Creaky Crab 2 remained ready to take. Hello again.
Hello, Murphy.
Isn't there supposed to be a cave here?
Looks like there's been a rock slide. Not unusual on this side of the island. The Caribbean hurricanes hit these coves with full force.
Do you think there's a way into the cave?
That has to be 200 tons of solid rock. The only way you're going to get through there is by blowing a hole in it. And I'm afraid the Creaky Crab 2 here is too small for artillery.
I'd like to head back to Dead Nettle, please.
Hop aboard, Murphy.
It was time to explore Cecil's. Hello again, Sebastian.
Oh, it's you again.
Not playing hide and seek anymore?
I've outgrown it.
Sore loser, huh?
I didn't lose. You cheated. Anyway, I've moved on to this now.
A paddleball?
My mum found it for me after I told her I wasn't getting the tin boot I wanted for my birthday.
It's not even your birthday.
That doesn't matter. Anyway, what? Bet you can't do this.
The little brat had me there. Like hula hooping, unicycling, and stilt walking, my facility with a paddleball was on par with my ability to do other completely useless party tricks. Mallory told me to tell you she's not happy that you changed her toy catalog.
What's she going to do? I'm already dead.
But that's not a nice way to treat other people.
She started it.
How?
She tried to have me exorcised.
I beg your pardon?
Candles, salt, a pentagram. She even brought over a black cat from the fort. When I confronted her about it, she said she was just doing a science project.
I see. Shouldn't you be getting ready for the wedding?
I'm not the page boy anymore. I've been demoted.
How did that happen?
Well, before I started playing with this paddleball, I found a marble in one of the bedrooms. A super-sized one, perfect for bombing.
Whose bedroom?
One of the guest rooms. Mr. Beaumont's, I think. He's certainly lost his marbles.
What did you do with it?
Like my dad taught me, I'm keeping Mum on that one. All I'm going to say is that it was a big mix-up. Mrs. Craddock must have had her sense of humour surgically removed.
So, you think you're good with that paddleball, huh?
Better than you'll ever be. Just name a trick and I can do it.
Bet you can't do the paddleball with your eyes closed.
Look and learn.
I didn't want... With Sebastian's eyes closed, I took out my scissors, and when the timing was right, snipped.
Hey, what happened to my paddleball?
The ball just snapped right off there. Maybe you need to practice a bit more. With any other child, I'd feel guilty. With Sebastian, it felt like evening out the cosmic balance.
I bet Mallory was behind this.
picked up the red rubber ball I'd cut from the paddle ball. It looked like a clown's nose. Good evening, Mrs. Craddock.
Chairs at the far end, tables on the left. Oh, it's you again.
Where have all the guests gone?
To their rooms to get ready. Here I am tidying up after the waltz while they just waltz away.
How long until the wedding begins?
Just a few hours. Oh, good gracious, a few hours. And there's still so much to do. I'm sorry, but I can't stand around chitter-chatting. There is much work to be done.
You seem a little stressed.
Correct. And with all due respect, and I'm sure we can both agree much respect isn't due at all, talking to you only makes it worse.
You need to find a way to relax, Mrs. Craddock.
I don't think people realize how this job takes a toll on one's health. My doctor told me I need to rethink my diet, so I've decided to go more continental, by which I mean a glass and a half of wine with each meal and polishing off the bottle before bedtime. A la Francais.
Where's the wedding cake gone?
I had to hide it.
Hide it? Why?
Somebody had already helped themselves to a slice of cake. And I bet I know exactly who it was, Mr. McCallan.
Oh, really?
That horrible pock boy. The knave with his hand on the tarts. Perhaps the Queen of Hearts had good reason for her framework of justice.
I heard you had a run-in with Sebastian Bach and his marbles.
Oh, goodness gracious. You must be talking about the marble he found in Mr. Beaumont's chambers, I presume.
That's right. What happened to it?
Well, that little deviant was supposed to be making himself useful as a page boy by watching over Mrs. Pritchett, our most elderly guest. Instead, with a single flick, Sebastian managed to bounce his marble off the skirting board, ricochet it off the chandelier, and land it right on top of Mrs. Pritchett's hairpiece.
Well, kids will be kids, I suppose, as long as you got the marble back.
It wasn't a marble at all. It was Mr. Beaumont's glass eye. And you know what he said? He said he was keeping an eye on her like he was told.
I heard you didn't send a wedding invitation to Captain Moot.
Well, of course he didn't receive an invitation. He was dismissed from his employment weeks before the wedding for crashing the flagship of the Belmore fleet.
He's very upset about it. Don't years of service outweigh one accident?
Accident? I suppose you never learned exactly why he crashed the ship, did you?
Actually, no, I didn't.
We discovered that Captain Moot used to invite ladies up to the bridge after hours. Dozens of ladies over the years. He'd take them on moonlit cruises around the island and, goodness gracious me, paint them with no clothes on. Draped over the ship's wheel, stretched out in the rigging, dangling from the anchor. Apparently, he must have gotten a bit too carried away with his brushstrokes on the final painting, because he didn't see the rocks the ship crashed into.
Ah, that would certainly be distracting.
Indeed.
I'll leave you to get on with your work.
How thankful I am for life's little blessings.
I had an idea. One that required skill, subtlety, and finesse. Or at least the ability to hurl a billiard ball through an open doorway. Yoink!
Did you just touch the table?
Absolutely not.
Ow! Who threw that?
Hello again, Captain Pemberley.
Welcome back, Captain McCallan.
I'd like a rematch at English billiards.
Thinking you can beat what I hit before? Step right up. I don't believe it. I've never seen 14s before. You must have arms like the coupling rods on a steam train.
A blessing and a curse, as I've discovered more than once to my own cost. But I don't like to boast. Does this mean I win the trophy?
I'm afraid it does, but you need to bring it back next Wednesday for the potluck. We'll have a rematch then.
With my newfound title as club billiards champion, it was time to claim my trophy. Good evening, Captain Moot.
If you say so.
I found out why Mrs. Craddock rescinded your invitation. You were caught painting naked ladies on the ship's bridge. That's why you crashed the ship.
Maybe that's true, but you'd think she'd have been more understanding about the whole thing.
Why's that?
She was the naked lady I was painting when we crashed.
I switched on the lighthouse light.
Do you want a medal?
I'm the club's new champion billiards player.
Did you beat old Pemberley?
Beginner's luck, I suppose.
Ha! Looks like all those days at the bays haven't paid off, Gifford. Boy, you'll have to have a party to celebrate.
Sure, Moot. Just make sure to get an invitation so you don't have to crash the party. We all know how much you enjoy crashing things.
I better be off.
So long.
Hello again, Crab.
Hello, Murphy.
I'd like to head back to Crossbone Cove.
That's it.
Hello again.
Hello.
I'd like to head...
Up aboard.
As I directed the light along the coast, it caught the polished brooch I'd placed on the cairn, reflecting back the light fantastically, like a signal mirror. I needed to load some gunpowder into the cannon first. An old cannon still sat... I took a handful of the spilled gunpowder. I poured the gunpowder into the cannon. I loaded the billiards trophy into the cannon, spherical and solid metal. It was the perfect improvised cannonball. I packed in the gunpowder and makeshift cannonball. Now there were just 2 steps remaining. Aim and fire. Whoa! With the brooch at Crossbone Cove reflecting light back from the lighthouse, I knew exactly where to aim. I took a match out of the matchbook and lit the cannon's fuse. I felt like a pirate captain about to unleash a broadside barrage. Ready the cannons, you scurvy scallywags! Pull the ship to port, down with the mainsail! Buckle your swash and fire! That looks like it might have worked. Hello again, Crab.
Hello, Murphy.
I'd like to head back to Crossbone Cove, please.
That's enough. Well, blow me down. What's happened here? Did you do this, Murphy?
I needed to find a way in.
Well, Aladdin, I think you found your magic cave.
The cannon fire had worked. The boulders that had fallen in the rock slide were now rubble strewn across the beach, revealing what I'd been searching for, a dark cave winding into the cliffside. A ghostly glow flickered from the far end of the cave as I slipped on the seaweed-covered rocks trying to reach it. I began to fear the worst, but as I emerged in the subterranean chamber, I discovered it was actually the otherworldly glow of plankton. I wasn't going to be able to pick up the algae with my bare hands. I scooped up some of the algae water. With a quick shake to agitate it, the bottle began to shine like a blue lantern. I found you, Xavier. Your final expedition won't have been in vain.
I grow weary of your inability to heed my warning, Murphy McCallan. No good shall come from you pursuing this.
What you've done to Abigail Belmore cannot be allowed to continue.
Abigail Belmore is dead, as will you be, if you continue this pathetic charade.
She deserves to be free, just like all the ghosts of the manor.
You haven't learnt, have you, McCallan? Everything you've done so far has just made the situation worse. Now is the time to back out.
I'll never do that, Rackham. Finding the treasure is more important to me now than it's ever been.
Then I hope it's a cause you're willing to die for. Just as Xavier Belmore drowned in the rising tide of this cave, so shall you.
When Rackham's earthquake finally stopped, I realized the route I'd followed into the cave was blocked. Tons of impenetrable rock and rubble now stood between me and the outside world. I was trapped. The only source of light was the glowing algae in the water, but even that dimmed to darkness when it went undisturbed in the quiet cave. At any point, the cave could fill up with seawater, drowning me just as it had Xavier. I needed to find a way out. I didn't need to pour algae water on that. As I stood still, I noticed the algae beginning to dim. I'd read that its glow was triggered by vibrations, and without my footsteps, it was getting darker. As the darkness dimmed in the cave, I began to make out a faint luminescence in the form of a whirlpool. Some turbulence beneath the water was making the algae glow, and I hoped it might be an underwater tunnel. That might have been my only way out, but swimming through the darkness would have been far too dangerous. The lights below the water didn't offer much chance of escape, but at least it was better than waiting to drown in the cave. Using the bottle of algae as an underwater lantern, I waded into the water, then dived down below the surface. The underwater tunnels felt like a maze. I pulled myself past jagged rocks and twisting passages, with only the ethereal blue glow of the algae to light my way, until finally, with only seconds of air left in my lungs, I reached the surface.
Murphy, what are you doing over there? It's dangerous to swim out here, you know. You could get washed into a sea cave or something.
Thanks for the advice, Crab. I'll make a note of that. Green from the seawater I'd swallowed, I could at least say I'd survived being drowned. And now I had Xavier's key. Hello again, Crab.
Hello, Murphy.
I'd like to head back to
Hop aboard, Murphy.
I searched through the pockets of the lab coat. To my surprise, I found something. A small silver coin.
Welcome back.
What do you think of this coin?
Oh, very interesting. Though I'm afraid with these old spectacles, I can't make out what the engraving says.
There is no reason to... Could I use your microscope to look at this coin I found?
Oh, are you a fellow fan of numismatics?
I prefer the old ones.
Yeah, never mind. Go right ahead.
With the microscope calibrated, the coin's writing came into focus. It read, "Into the palm of a prince." The inscription must have been a clue in Cecil's treasure hunt. I just had to find the prince's palm he was referring to. It was a firework rocket. Using one of the cotton flags, I scooped up some of the gloppy grease. Following the inscription on the coin and realizing that the metallic statue depicted an Indian prince, I took a close look at the statue's palm. For the first time, I noticed a slight circular indentation, about the size of a coin. I placed the coin into the statue's hand. It fit the indentation exactly, into the palm of a prince. No sooner had I done it than I heard sparks and hums coming from inside the statue. That's when I realized it wasn't a statue at all. It was an automaton. A robotic figure made to move with cogs, wires, and electrical pulses. It seemed to be fighting to move, but then, nothing.
Well, blow me over with a dandelion. I didn't expect anyone to get that working again.
It's not doing much.
Joints will be frozen, I should think. No wonder after all these years. Another job for me to do, and a dangerous one at that. Who knows how many volts Master Cecil ran through that thing to get it moving.
Using the flag soaked in grease, I began to oil the automaton's joints. I was pretty sure I'd lubricated the automaton enough. Now it was time to test it. I placed the coin back in the automaton's hand and watched. The cap of the scroll case opened and revealed something inside.
Well, there's life in the old thing yet. Gives us all hope, doesn't it?
I picked up the piece of paper that had fallen from the statue. Unrolling it, I discovered it was a death certificate, all filled in except for one key piece of information. The name was missing. It was certainly a clue, but who did it belong to? As I returned to the docks, I realized that Dead Nettle's usual smell of sea breeze and rotting fish had been replaced by something far more pleasant, the smoky scent of a fish I thought I recognized.
Well, aren't you a sight for sore eyes? I didn't think I'd be seeing you again, Mac. I thought you'd be swimming back to the mainland. Or, well, swimming with the fishes. How's the auditing going?
Well, I quit my job.
You quit? I thought that was the whole reason you were here in the first place.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Why you doing this, Mac? Don't you have a family you need to get back to, away from the ghost stories?
I don't have any family. I never have. I was found.
Found?
As a baby, I was left on the doorstep of an orphanage with just a blanket and a piece of paper with my name on it. Growing up, I always felt alone, like I was missing someone who loved me. The last orphanage I was in was above a bookstore called Eerie Echoes, and I used to pick up the dime novels that got thrown out at the end of each month. My favorites were always the scary ones.
Why did you like the scary stories so much?
I felt like if I could read the scariest story I could find, it would make my life at the time seem a little less scary by comparison.
That's heartbreaking, Mac.
But that's why I'm still here. I always wanted to be in one of those stories, and now I am. I don't have much of a past, but this is a chance to make myself a future.
Well, I hope you find what you're searching for. But don't say I didn't warn you. Now look, here's something to lift the spirits. Now, I hope you don't mind, but you left your fish hanging there. No sense in letting a fish that size go to waste. I've started cooking it up. It'll be the tastiest fish this side of the Mississippi. We can tuck in as soon as it's cooked.
I tried to hide the realization growing on my face. A mouthful of taxidermy stuffing and chipped teeth from the iron horseshoe hidden inside wouldn't be the culinary sensation Ned was after. Sounds great, Ned.
Don't touch it now, Mac. It's still cooking. Got to wait until the skin is nice and charred.
If Ned wanted to wait until the fish was cooked to tuck in, it was time to turn up the heat.
Whoa! We don't want you overdone, little fishy. Time to cut you open. Ready for a taste sensation, Mac?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Hand me back that knife, would you? That's strange. There's something in here. A horseshoe.
Now, how did that get in there?
Mac, I think your fish is stuffed.
Well, knock me over with a herring. I'm shocked. Does this mean my record doesn't count?
I hate to break it to you.
Did I hear what I think I heard? Out of the way, Buster.
Evelyn, What took you so long?
The record-breaking Pancosa was stuffed. The new record was a sham. Murphy, what have you got to say for yourself?
You've caught me red-handed. Well, I don't mean to be coy with you, but this cuts me to the soul. I only entered for the halibut. I can't believe I'm herring this right. I'm cracking up. I'm floundering. I'm carping on and on. I need to clear my head, but let me know if you need anything else from me.
I think you've got more of a future in the funny pages than serious journalism, Murphy. Kips, have you got time for an interview with the Juniper Parish Gazette?
Evelyn homed in on Ned like a dog with a bone and no sense of personal boundaries.
What drives you to catch fish? Is fish in your blood?
Using the date from the death certificate, I began to search through the newspaper's archives. And then I found it. In the bottom corner of the newspaper was a small announcement showing that the person buried on that date was named Eleanor Hines. I ripped out the announcement and replaced the newspaper. It was the obituary.
McCallan, I told you you can't go back there.
Whoops, look at the time. I've really got to be going. I had a name to go along with the death certificate. Now it was time to find out where they were buried. I began searching the graves for the name in the clipping, Eleanor Hines. Aha! I discovered a small headstone at the center of the cemetery, partially covered in moss and lacking any date whatsoever. So this was where Eleanor Hines had been buried. Except, now that I was looking at it etched in large letters, I began to realize something. The name was an anagram. Here lies no one? And if a person wasn't buried here, what was? To say digging up a grave felt eerie would be an understatement. But if something was down there, I needed to find out what it was. I took out the shovel and began to dig. Eventually, I found something. Not a coffin, but instead, a battered old chest. I opened the chest I dug up from the grave and found two things of interest: a round glass lens and an engraving in the lid of the chest. I picked up the glass lens. The small lens fit perfectly on the end of the telescope. I immediately looked through it to see what it would reveal. I spy with my little eye the next clue. The creek meandered all across the peninsula. Surely that was too much to search. The Tale of the Mermaid. This must have been the location described in the chest's inscription, but looking through the gap in the weather vane, all I could see was darkness. With no easy path to it, I couldn't justify risking my life trekking through overgrown wilderness and the alligator-infested bayou unless I was sure something was there. I needed some way to light up the bayou. The firework dropped snugly into the drain pipe. If it needed a launch tube to fire, this was the closest I was going to get. I took a match out of the matchbook, dragged it against the striker, and lit the firework. Illuminated by the glow of the fireworks, I could see something through the mermaid weather vane. It looked like a wishing well. My route to the well had me clambering over fallen tupelo trees and trudging through knee-deep water, lit only by moonlight and accompanied only by the overly curious critters in the bayou. But eventually, I found it. The crank slid into the gear mechanism perfectly. I'd heard of throwing a coin down a well to make a wish, but never of throwing yourself down. I just had to hope a 30-year-old rope could still hold my weight. With some luck, I found I'd landed on a metal platform jutting out into the hollow of the well. Clearly, I wasn't the first person to come down here, although the previous visitor might have arrived here more gracefully. I picked up the rope and the spindle it was attached to. Knowing how flammable the grease-soaked cotton would be, I wrapped it around the spindle to form a rudimentary torch. I took the final match out of the matchbook, careful not to drop it onto the wet floor, and ignited the torch. The torch burned brightly, dancing light into the formerly dark alcove, and that's when I saw it. Hidden within the rock face was a small metal box with a button on it. I pressed the button and immediately heard the sound of sparking electricity, seemingly coming from within the rocks themselves, and then The passageway meandered like a labyrinth through the underground rock. With each step, I felt more and more lost and ready to turn back. Then up ahead, I saw a glimmer of light. The top of the stairs appeared to be a dead end, but the wooden board blocking my way and the muffled sounds of electricity suggested there was more to this passageway than met the eye. I placed my hands on the obstruction and pushed. I emerged into a dimly lit office that seemed to have been taken over by frighteningly active machinery, and from the familiar groaning of wood, I realized where I was. I solved your treasure hunt, Cecil. I hope you don't mind me taking this as my reward.
Murphy McCallan, you will pay for your insolence.
I have the third key now, Rackham. The treasure doesn't belong to you. I will get to the Belmore treasure before you.
Do you think this is a game, Murphy McCallan? You are toying with things beyond your understanding.
I think you're just nervous that I'm closer to finding the treasure than you are.
I will not be defeated by a mere mortal. Even if you claim the treasure, I will haunt you to the ends of the earth. There will be no escape from the terror and misery I will bring down upon you. Each time you sleep, I will turn your every dream into an unending nightmare.
I've survived your attempts to kill me twice now, Rackham. Maybe you're not as powerful as you think you are.
Even with the 3 keys, do you really think you can beat me to the treasure, Murphy? You are a mortal. I am an all-powerful spirit. I have looked upon the face of death, and still I remain here. Now it's time for you to look upon death too. Just as Cecil Belmore's blood poured from his body, so shall yours.
Rackham's telekinetic powers had dropped me onto the mill's conveyor belt. My wrists and ankles now tied with the same wire that was strewn about the mill, but at least the buzzsaw wasn't on. And then it got even worse. With inches to spare, the belt snagged on the warping wooden frame and gave me a chance of escape, acutely aware that it could catch again any moment and send me hurtling into the spinning blade. I considered touching the spinning blade, but I was quite attached to my hand, and I wanted to keep it that way. No matter how hard I pulled, I couldn't snap it. I considered... Thin wire was wrapped tightly around my... With my hands and feet bound, I couldn't reach my belongings. Carefully, I held the wire wrapped around my wrists against the spinning blade. It cut through them like butter, just like it would do to me if I couldn't get my ankles free. With seconds left, I hacked into the wires with the scissors and just managed to cut through them. With my legs free, I swung myself off the conveyor belt. I had survived being cut in half, and now I had Cecil's key. That was it. All 3 skeleton keys. Now it was time to open the vault. The key didn't... I placed the first... The key did... I placed the... I placed the third key into the mantelpiece and immediately heard a click. I didn't know what exactly I was going to discover beneath the house, but it was time to find out.
I wouldn't go down there if I were you.
This is the only way to save everyone in the house. I need to see what's down there.
A cry for help will make no sound, with secrets deep below the ground. Dare he walk into the black, for once he's in, he won't come back.
The staircase coiled down and down beneath the house, carved out of the very rock the house sat on. Lit only by flickering lanterns, I worked my way towards the green glow beckoning me at the end of the tunnel. Finally passing through the frame of a large metal door and into the Belmore Vault.